3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Weekly Open, where the music is happier than the price. This episode of Weekly Open is brought to you by Blockfolio. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. If you're ready to buy the dip, you can do it right there on Blockfolio. Just connect your bank, add some dollars, and buy that freaking dip with no trading fees whatsoever. You can go directly from one asset to the other if you're trying to get from Bitcoin to shitcoin or shitcoin back to Bitcoin. Preserve your buying power, or do whatever else you need to do. You can do it on Blockfolio, weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. And of course, track your portfolio like you've known and loved since 2014. Thanks to them for being our partner. Hey guys, let's start with Luke. What's up? Luke's not even there. How about Josh? Josh, how you doing?
Josh is here. Josh is wondering where all those on-chain bulls are, because man, we need them now. We need them now.
Don, hello.
Hello.
And Luke must be using the toilet or something. I don't know where he went. His video's there. It's just he's not there.
Suddenly disappeared.
There he is.
He's vampired out of the frame.
Hello, Luke. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. I almost just caught my kitchen on fire, but we're good other than that.
Okay.
You guys doing?
I went to you first without looking at the fact that you were away from your video. I wish I could get away because all I see is Don's red box above the current price. Don, is the crab dead?
I mean, yes.
Oh.
I mean, technically it is. I mean, I think it's still gonna crab. It's probably gonna do something like this at some point, and then crab again. So, I mean, I think it's gone for now, but I think it's gonna come back. I don't think we're gonna get rid of it like in the next few months.
You can't get rid of the crab forever.
Yeah.
The problem is we're bearish enough for people to still have hope, but we're not bearish enough for like broad capitulation to mark a bottom that everybody knows is the bottom. That's what I think. This is a perpetual problem, like forever, that happens in markets where people, even like Doge community members or whoever, are still like holding out that this thing's gonna bounce. I mean, I'm holding from 23 on ETH, 33 on BTC. I'm still holding out for a bounce. So it's like, it's not bearish enough for me to capitulate. Yeah, it's not bearish enough for me to capitulate yet, but it obviously is not bullish. There's zero reasons to be in coin here. It's just zero. Every metric you can think of is trending down.
I mean, something that I've been seeing is that people are like, this looks so bad, so it has to bounce, right? Which is such a weird argument to make if you kind of use those metrics to trade at all.
I mean, because that's inversion principles.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like if you're using like support resistance or any of that stuff, right? And then you wait for it to break and you're like, okay, this is now looking so bad. Like if you wait for your system to go broke, like, and then you're like, okay, it's going to go up now because this looks so hilariously bad. I mean, why use the system in the first place, right? Is my view on that. But I mean, in general, like I could see it bounce. It's just like what we've been doing is we made a range after breaking down, and then we broke down again, made another range, and now we're breaking down again, right? Maybe there's just ranges in here now. And I mean, if that happens, I could see it actually like just spring out of it. But until like that happens, I mean, I don't really see a good reason to get into this either, right? It's like my TA is telling me this bearish. And even though like I think sentiment's really, really bearish as well, like on Twitter, pretty much everywhere you go, bears are starting to kind of outnumber the bulls, which is rare in crypto. I need the chart to look at least somewhat presentable, and right now it's not. And if it does like a sharp spike to the downside, I think it's going to be. And if it ranges in here, I think it's also going to be, because then you have like the typical kind of free pushes downwards that get weaker every time. And that'd be fine by me too. Like I'd probably buy that too, but until it happens, like, I mean, I'm just going to expect down or sideways, which both of those I don't want to be in. So, yeah.
Well, what we don't want absolutely is just drift, a continuous drift. That is the most bearish. Like I said already, you need a signal to people like, yeah, people are capitulating. You either need the fear signal from people who are yet to be fearful but will get fearful, or you need the buy the blood in the street people who will buy the dip after they realize that everybody's capitulated, and all markets are down lately. Even legacy's down big today. Collectibles, anything you can think of, everything is just dumping hard.
Yeah, I think honestly, the thing that would drag us below this range severely is if Legacy continues to melt down. First meaningful correction in a while, and it's a retest of where it started. What you could argue was some kind of blow off top in June. If it's just a retest, I actually think that that swoop and go type of thing that you showed there, Don, is possible. But if Legacy is actually having a meaningful top here before, let's say, 10% off the top, 12, like get back to the longer term moving averages, retrace some of this move that it's had on the year meaningfully, then crypto in my mind is cooked, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. It just would be what it is. I don't think you even need to look at Bitcoin charts. I think you just can watch the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ and know essentially what's going to happen with Bitcoin.
I guess I'm just more curious, like what that even means if we are cooked. Like, how long will this bear market drag on for versus the one we all had to live through, 2018, 2019, going into 2020? Like, is it possible that we do that for another year or two?
I actually
really range around, fill things out.
I think this is a mini bear. I don't think this is a full on like what we had before. I think this is, what do you call it? Like, a short term thing, not like a secular shift in the market. I just don't think that, whether you call it tapering or whatever, if things get bad enough, like the government just can't afford rates to go up. They can't afford a lot of this. They're in a pickle. So if they manage it all very poorly, maybe everything lasts a lot longer. But I think the likelihood is that the legacy market has a correction, but doesn't hit like full recession. And they'll figure out how to like taper or do whatever they need to do to kind of get things under control.
I think until when are midterms for the US? Whatever those are, I think they try to prop this up as the best they can until midterms.
What benefit is there to do that?
For political reasons.
I don't know.
If the market is selling off during an election or leading up to an election, that's not exactly bullish for the party that's in charge,
Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to talk about politics, but
No, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, that's part of it. That's part of the...
I feel like in prior administrations, that would be a bigger goal of like trying to put pressure on the Fed, policy decision making. I don't know if I've heard a lot about this administration like having a huge influence on the Fed as an example. And I think the Fed's decision making is going to have bigger impact than the legislative branch. I actually expect the legislative branch probably to try to spend more money. Like they're trying to get through this infrastructure package and all that. It's a matter of what's priced in, what isn't. Inflation's running really hot. And the question is that going to continue running really hot? If that continues running really hot, I don't know. Lots of things can change.
Well, it should. If they're spending and printing money, right? Inflation should be running hot.
Yeah, but what?
And here we are with the inflation hedge that's selling off, right?
I know. Yeah.
We need more inflation.
No, I feel like this is just trading like a risk kind of asset and not like anything that's like inflation hedge, whatever based.
Yeah, it's not trading that way.
In general, like I don't really get the reason why people are like, this is going to have to be a short one. I could see this drag on for a year, 2 or 3. I wouldn't be surprised if this takes like 3 years to get to new all-time highs. Just based on the fact that like 60K is quite high. And then if you go sideways for a while, you can go higher. But like, where do you go? Like, let's say this breaks in the next year, right? It goes up. Where do you go from there? Do you go to 100, 200, 500K? Does everything kind of implode around Bitcoin? Because I mean, at that point, we're getting really, really high, and without some sort of consolidation, some sort of shaking out, I'd be surprised if that happens, right? So I think in general, if we're going back to all-time high, like in the next year, I don't think that's gonna be like we're gonna break out and then just continue running to like 200K. I think that'd be much more short-lived then. And if we kind of base around here for a couple of years, I think it could be. So like I actually, even though I like the volatility and I want to be buying and selling, and I in general make more money when it goes up, I wouldn't mind this going on for a couple of years. And I don't think it's unlikely either.
I guess part of what I mean is I don't think it necessarily has to go like to 14K.
Yeah, doesn't have, I think this could just range in here.
Right.
Like I legitimately think this could just go in here, like between like 20 or even a little bit higher and 40, 50K for like a year or two.
I don't disagree with that, Don, at all. Like I think a year-long consolidation is fine, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to make one of these like multi-year bull type of 85% down type of moves, you know? Mm-hmm. It wouldn't shock me if 60, 70% down did mark the bottom, if you will, but it also didn't make new highs for a year plus. That would be healthy in some ways.
Not healthy for us, but healthy for the market. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that hopium? I'm not trying to. I'm not even trying. I don't even care about hopium. Like I don't have to be in. Or I don't. You know what I mean? It's just trying to. When I look at the chart and try to paint what could happen in the future, nothing about this screams to me that it absolutely just has to go another 50, 60% down.
Yeah. I mean, I like, in general, I love 14K. So, I mean, that's where I would love to buy, but I mean, I'm not
14. Last week you said 24. Now you say 14. I mean, what happened?
So my plan.
It's like 10K off that.
Let me explain my plan, right? So in general, like I want to be buying if there's nukes, which I'm not saying it's 100% guaranteed to nuke, because like I said, sentiment is getting quite bearish. If the S&P turns around, I could see this go up as well. But if it nukes, right, I am gonna be looking for like 24, that area, to buy, but I don't think that's going to be the bottom in general. I think we're going to head up from there and then very likely just go back down again and then retest like 20K-ish. And then maybe kind of range in there in that range. And if something goes terribly wrong, I could see 14K happen, which I would buy as well, and then see where it goes. Like I don't think 14K is likely, but if it does happen, I want to have money to be able to buy it. And but I think like me getting to buy 24K is decently, like there's a decent chance that I get to, and I think there's a decent chance if I get to buy 24, I'm gonna get to sell like 30 or 40K, and that's kind of like all I'm looking for. I don't really care. Like targeting 14K at this point, I think is stupid, because then you're gonna maybe this breaks down for real, but then it's gonna reverse before your entry gets hit. And then you're going to be sitting there stuck waiting for this to like go back there. And even if it does go back there, you're going to be not in a trade for a long while, right? Because I don't think we're going straight to 14K like in the next 3, 4, 5 months. I think if anything, this is going to bounce and bounce and bounce again if it wants to go to 14K, which isn't even guaranteed, right? So
we really haven't had a good complacency bounce yet in this move. Like nothing. I have a hard time believing you don't go into the high 40s again. Like, if you really want liquidity for big money to exit, that's what you need, don't you think? Like, you need people to get enough hopium to think there's all-time highs on the way, and then you dump it properly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's just like it's a little bit risky for them given how the traditional markets move. Like, they're kind of at the mercy as well. Like if the traditional markets just dump, I mean, you're going to get fucked if you position that way. But then again, like I always say, I wouldn't count on that because the traditional markets are scam market that only goes up. I mean, this is the up only market that we were promised in crypto. Like that's just, I mean, this is legitimately, this is crazy, right? And I mean, expecting anything but this to continue to go up is kind of like picking tops, which in a trend like that is pretty hard to do. But I mean, if you do it correctly, you can make a bunch of money and get famous. But like for everyone that does it correctly, 10,000 people fail at picking the top, right? In this kind of thing. So
I just want to say that Pomp hit 1 million followers on Twitter, and you know what? That is the most bullish thing I've seen in recent memory. So
yeah, very, bullish.
If you zoom out enough and look at the Bitcoin chart, it doesn't look that far off from the S&P chart, Don. We just might be on an earlier stage of it. Like that to me doesn't look, I mean, it looks a little different. Structurally, it looks different just because our retracements are like 80% and theirs are like 20%. But
I mean, I want to bounce. My buys want to bounce. I just don't know if the market has it in it. Again, there's what are you looking at that's bullish here? Google trends down, traffic down, volume down. You just to like zero. On-chain activity down. I'm not finished yet. Every single trend following metric is pointing down. There's nothing here. VPVR has a volume node at 24 and 20. You know, there's just nothing here.
I guess with all that down, the question then is, what is the kind of catalyst, if any, that would lead to not a full-blown bull market, but would lead to potentially a complacency bounce, would lead to like complacency push for a week or two? And if there's not a catalyst that you think could do that, then it's like, yeah, you really do have to head lower, let things settle, develop another range, let people accumulate, and then slowly kind of, retail only comes in when momentum's up. Like that's the whole reason people come to Bitcoin.
I don't think you need retail in this market for it to go to the 40Ks. I think there's lots of
I don't think you need all of them, but you need some of them.
Yeah, but there's lots of significant money out there that would be able to push this to the 40Ks. I think that flows that aren't on derivatives exchanges, like if you look at, longs, open interest, Bitfinex, like the flows outside of all that is very short currently. And therefore just closing those trades could push this more than we anticipate.
The one thing that I like that we've been seeing though is like that we've had a bunch of negative funding. We've had all of that kind of stuff and it didn't produce anything. And the market just keeps on drifting lower. It's a little bit, I don't know, like I've seen a lot of people kind of talking about the negative funding rate since basically 40K. And
I think the hash
we're now
rate,
at 30.
I think hash rate will start to indicate when this is able to recover fundamentally, as Josh mentioned. Like when you start seeing hash rate pick up a bit, then that'll give you a little bit of a potential for boost for Bitcoin. Also for Ethereum, like if 1559 stuff is half successful, I mean, we're less than a month from that occurring. I did disagree with Josh about the Litecoin comparison. Like you cannot compare on-chain activity of Ethereum and Litecoin. I'm sorry, that's illegal.
No, what I said in the pre-show was that I think 1559 will be a nothing burger like LTC's halving was. If you look at the lead up to LTC halving and then after, like you couldn't tell me where it was on the chart. You'd have no idea.
That's fine. I think if 1559 is not a failure from a protocol sense, in this, like, does it break fees? If the network is still able to operate normally, then eventually 1559 will be very bullish in my mind, and it'll just start a reaccumulation phase if the price doesn't respond quickly to the burning and everything. The market has already stated. I don't know.
Go ahead, Ledger.
The market's already stated that it's willing to transact when fees are low on other networks, and when that can happen on more ETH native networks, I think that 1559 plus layer 2 will be a nice combination to enable fundamental bullishness on the Ethereum network, because you have a combination of scaling and token economics that make a nice marriage.
Yeah,
100%.
The issue is it doesn't happen immediately. That's the biggest thing.
Doesn't have to happen immediately.
These cumulative effects take time. So to say 1559 is bullish, yes, but it's not going to really kick in, just like any halving effect, any supply soak. That isn't going to kick in until 6 weeks, 6 months. I don't know. Like, it's going to take time.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
Sure. Of course it's bullish. We're burning ETH. We're literally burning supply, and yeah, inflation's lower. Great. Eventually that's going to kick in. I just wanted to show this. This is like the chart of charts. If you were looking to buy the dip, it is the 2-year MA and the 200-week moving average. Historically, we have never held below the 200-week moving average on BTC for an extended period of time. So there's Don's 14 level down there, and there's the 20K level at the 2-year MA. So if you're an investor long-term, be patient, wait for that. It's probably coming, eventually, and just go from there. Just DCA in down here, or just be super passive and wait for that 14K level.
But it's not going to be 14K by the time it hits there. It'll be 20K.
It'll move up. I don't know if it's going to move up. The 200 weeks going to move up to 20, but
Depends on how long it takes.
All you got to do is set your bids once a week, then go do whatever you're doing with your life.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, I need to show something bullish because, y'all are making me sad. So here we have weekly lumber green. Look at that, right on the 200-week moving average, right where Bitcoin is going, as you just noted. If lumber is moving first, if it's bottoming, maybe we'll have one big nuke week or two big nuke weeks, and we can't.
Yeah. We cannot bottom when Dixie is rising and VIX is rising. We just can't. It's just
Bitcoin is digital lumber.
It's not in that paradigm.
Ethereum is digital lumber.
Digital lumber. Let's go.
When you do look at the beauty of this side by side. I mean, come on. Just look at this. Tell me.
ETH looks like it's in phase 4, where lumber's in phase 0.5.
Yeah. Does it not strike you? That if ETH is just following, that means we have to, if we do the nukage over here, we're going to 600, right? This is the opposite of what I intended to do. But people like.
Yeah, I thought you were showing us something bullish here, dude. This is horrible.
It is. Eventually, it sells so much that there's a bottom. But yeah, when you look at it here, it looks pretty bad.
What about the used car chart? I saw that's got to be one of the only charts in the world going up right now. Is there any comparison we can make? Ethereum is used cars, digital used cars.
Ethereum is a 2002 Toyota Corolla.
Could be.
Did y'all see the meme about the inflation hedges? Like which ones are good, and the biggest exploding brain neurons one was the 2013 Toyota Corolla, and the worst was gold. The peanut brain was gold. The regular brain was Bitcoin. The bigger brain was the S&P 500, and the biggest brain was 2013 Corolla. Yeah, that
lumber chart is a great technical example of an Eiffel Tower. Straight up, straight down.
It's the most.
You're not gonna see a better one anywhere.
Yeah. What's interesting is the lumber stocks are still like quite high. They've not followed yet, but I just wanted to show it. Y'all just
it still looks garbage, but
yeah. I mean, honestly, on the weekly, Ethereum looks like death incarnate.
Yep.
I don't mean it. I don't mean to be like negative Nancy about it, but technically it all looks very bad. I'm not trying to deny it. I had this alert at like 2040 or so. Basically, if we cleared the 200-day moving average, if we held kind of this area of support back here, we're like at the lowest levels of that right now. Like the next move is total nuke job, right?
I hope so.
You could make a case for kind of saving these levels, but if we don't, then the the big Omega nuke, which would probably align with equities going down a lot, would be kind of the next pit stop.
I mean, that just looks one-to-one like Bitcoin did at 6K back in 18, right? Where it just kept on bouncing from the same level and eventually it just broke down. Yeah. Which, I mean, when you hear that, right, you might be like, oh shit, Bitcoin halved afterwards. But the thing is, like, after it went up a shitload, right? So not the worst thing in the world. But I mean, everything closed below weekly support for me. Like every single bigger coin just lost support this week. And yeah, you gotta have balls if you step in front of that. Which
I honestly thought that markets were going to make a little bit of a push to save the weekly, and then like that futures would try to open up, that kind of thing, to get excited for the legacy recovery, and they just didn't do it. So I missed one on that, because I've been in cash so many times over the past couple of weeks, but a few times I've like stepped in, tried to participate, and this time it bit me in the backside.
I mean, the COVID stuff's not helping legacy either.
No, it's not. Yeah. Like the UK saying like, oh, fully opening up. And then meanwhile, like case counts are increasing meaningfully for the first time in a while. People with the vaccine number, positive cases going up, Delta variant stuff going up. It strikes me as what if we do this thing where it's like open up, shut down type of stuff in the UK, and then what does the US do? Like the US will revolt with shutdowns. Like they just won't listen. They won't do it.
Yeah, I don't.
California's already trying to get in. They're already doing masks, everything back on in restaurants.
In LA and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Hate to see it.
I'll just put on my biotech hat again. I feel like I need to say this every week, but what we need to see for the new thing, the Delta variant, is hospitalization rate and death rate amongst vaccinated and unvaccinated.
Yeah, basically,
because even if
vaccine protecting from greater sickness, even if they're testing positive, right?
Correct. So even if you get it, because you've seen I love these people, these anti-everything people. They're saying, all these people are getting Delta variant, even though they got the vaccine, it doesn't work. Blah blah blah. Okay, great, but are they dead? Are they in the hospital? That's all I care about.
Yeah, from a scientific perspective.
Right.
I mean, in general, right? If you get it and you're fine, it's not that bad, right? But if you get it and you're dying, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah.
All right. Chat said they actually do want to see one bullish chart. Ledger, I don't think you. I don't think you satiated their thirst. So I'm going to pull one up.
It was bullish if you just look at the bottoming of lumber, but when you compare it to the Ethereum fractal, it suddenly made it very, very bearish.
I'm going to pull one up, and I'm actually curious, Don, to hear your thoughts, because you've looked at this range a lot. This is kind of how I've had it drawn out of my chart. The bottom of the range being where the sell-off stopped in May. Mm-hmm. Top of the range being kind of where we bounced to after that initial reaction, that run of licks. Yeah, I'm not saying we're bullish, but I'm saying we are at the range lows. I mean, give me the low. You said you were going to swept them. Bullish. Low. I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily bullish, but the people, the great people in the chat, they were looking for something a little bit more bullish than lumber taking us to $60 ETH.
It does.
I don't know.
It does.
Bottom of the range. I don't know. Not the worst spot to be in the world.
If you're a range trader.
Then again, if we get down here, turn off the chart, completely forget this entire segment and move on. But I don't know. Bottom of the range. Not so bad.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I don't really have like the wicks on my charts too much, but I can see like the argument for it. And like, I wouldn't short here. I think like I've got a lot of people asking me like why I'm not shorting this. And I'm like, you're kind of like, if you want to short this, you short 38 or 40, right? You don't want to be shorting a range like this in crypto when it's just like bleeding down, because even if you're right and it's going to break down, there's a good chance it just squeezes up again, right? Like, think about like it using your support as like a point where it starts squeezing for a bit and then comes back down and breaks it, right? You don't want to be in that position. A bunch of people trying to like break out short this. I don't think that's a good idea. but for me, it's not good enough to buy. Even like your range, I'd be terrified to buy it just based on the fact that it's been testing that low so many times. But yeah, I think it's a bullish argument actually. Like I think there's a way in which you can draw this in which it's bullish and which isn't kind of completely made up. And I think yours is actually like the way to do it. So
I think
I didn't change this just for this morning. I mean, this is how I've been looking at it.
I think we're incredibly overdue for a squeeze upwards, personally. And I don't actually think, you know, I was very negative legacy markets last week. I closed most of my shorts though on Friday. I didn't want to be over the weekend gambling, except for AMC. I've still got I've got an AMC calendar spread, which is actually dumping too fast. So I'm not profitable yet, but I should end up very, very profitable if I'm right there. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good chart, Luke. Like I think that we could be in that February type of range, like the way we dribbled down or whatever, and then just like it was basically disbelief the rest of the way. February 11th. Yep, there you go. We're like highly due for a squeeze, and I don't think legacy markets are going to give up on the bull so quickly, and I think they'll probably try to like buy the dip and turn around Tuesday, and like you could end the weekly easily higher than you are currently and still not look like very healthy in legacy, but like if you haven't died, then you just have to buy, you know, and that could give the fuel for that kind of crypto recovery as well.
Well, the difference is in February 2019, that was post legacy dump, which happened in November, December.
Yeah.
We're like actively potentially dumping on legacy like you're talking about. So
the only spot about that 2019 February range that looks similar, Ledge, where you're saying, you know, we're due for a squeeze. If we're at a spot and you're, you know, bull, you're looking for the hopium, like this price action, this slow dribble into range lows kind of does look like where we're at currently. But the interesting thing, I was talking to Avi Fellman the other week, he was saying, like, let's say you're bullish, you want the range to play out, you want Bitcoin to get back to 40, 50K. He's like, I think if it does that, like that's a giant if, we would probably get this very slow walk up, and it's just, you know, bids layering up and eventually break out. The kind of funny thing is that's like the opposite of what we're getting right now. We're getting a very slow walk down. So like, even if we do kind of squeeze up for a day or two, I still don't think it's going to be one of those, you know, you have to be in front of your screen to catch the long. You have to, I think if we do start walking up the range, it's going to be like a month, 2 months. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'd argue honestly that the top of the range, like the red box, is basically like this is just the inverse of where we are right now. If you look at
this back here, yeah,
then, yeah, like the top of the box is basically the bottom of our box right now.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because it's been getting tested and tested and tested again, and bounces have been getting weaker and weaker. And I mean, that was my argument back in 19, why I was like thinking that was going to play out to the upside, and the same argument is now like that this is going to be playing to the downside, because I mean, we've been testing that support so many times. To me, it makes sense to kind of break it down. But I mean, the thing is with crypto in general, you can have those beliefs, right? You can say, okay, I think it's going to go down because CA wise, it looks really shitty. And then if it goes up instead, you just jump on the train. The worst thing that you can do is just be like in disbelief afterwards. So I'm not like, okay, this has to break down. It has to go to 24. I'm just saying like, I think it's going there before it's going up. And if I'm wrong, I'm just going to be buying the breakout into 33K, because I think at that point, we're probably going to walk up at least a little bit into the like 35 to 38K range.
Here's the S&P 500 4-hour, how you could look at this, and, you know, sure. There's some stuff to churn through over here, so it could do sideways, crawl back up a couple of percent, that kind of thing. I don't personally think it's just gonna like nuke straight through and go like right to the 200-day moving average or whatever. You know what I mean? I think this is gonna. I personally think it's gonna take its time, which leads to believe that there's an opportunity for crypto to not die as well. It's not like a guarantee. It could combine with needing that squeeze. I just think that we're going to end up with better liquidity for people to exit in large numbers from crypto. Like I think that there's a lot of money on the sidelines to push this up some more. Is that hoping?
There's enough. Is there a lot of money following stock to flow? We talked about it before the show. What do you guys think? Does that help us here or hurt us?
I mean, that's the thing, right? I think we talked about this before, where it was like the stock to flow idiots are going to be selling the bottom. And I think that's going to be the case. Like if we break down here, go to 20K, like everyone that thinks stock to flow is what drives this up is going to be invalidated. And that at that point, I could see them panic. And I could see that be the bottom. Because I mean, they're not really the brightest people of the bunch, in my opinion. So I wouldn't mind it, like them getting squeezed out and then getting to buy their blood. Like that's my favorite kind of, like I hate when people say this has to do this or this has to do that, right?
Are they really going to do it though? Are they really going to capitulate? The plan B is not going to. He's just going to redraw and just going to call it like stock to flow or like stock free flow or whatever. But like his followers might. I've seen more and more negativity in his comments just by scrolling through it earlier. So I don't know. It's really tough. And I don't think it probably they don't matter too much. It's just like whenever you believe in these kind of things, when they kind of start falling apart, you're just left with nothing, right? And I think that's gonna be the case. Yeah, I still do believe, and I said this last week, like, I think overall we're probably healthier if we can go 24 first than 42. I just think that we're going to hit both of them this year. But I don't know. I'm not convinced we just nuke right down to it. I think.
Here's another thing to look at when you're looking at EIP-1559 effect. It took the most recent Bitcoin halving like 4 months to finally kick in. That was post-corona low, sure, but that's something to, if you have your hopium on that, just think how long that takes. Go ahead, sorry, Ledger.
Oh, I didn't have a whole lot there.
Okay, all right. Yeah, hash rate's still down. We had a negative difficulty adjustment. Let me take a look at what it's at today as far as difficulty, but
like the thing with all of this is that I feel like every week we talk and I'm like, okay, this is bearish, but if it crosses this and this level, I'm going to be happy being bullish again. And every week I kind of lower that level down because I want to be a buyer, right? But for some reason, we've never reclaimed any of those, right? It's like, I was like, okay, if this crosses 40K, maybe we go to like 45, 50, never happened. And I was like, okay, if we cross this and this level, maybe you go higher, never happened. And it's just been playing out like bearish retest after bearish retest after bearish retest.
Yeah, I don't disagree because look at I have my alarms at 333 because that was kind of my last week's version of flip and therefore you go. Now if we break down like where this yellow line it might be that level, get above 31, get above 31.5, and maybe that's a sign of some upside potential. If we go below the yearly open, it'll be do it again. So like I don't disagree with you that we're just kind of drooping on down. But eventually that's going to trigger. And when that triggers, it's going to make for a nice trade.
I think in general, like that's the good thing about it, right? Like, I was thinking of buying 35K and now I get to buy like confirmation at 33 if I want to.
Yeah, you have a lower confirmation than before. Yeah.
And it keeps on going down. So, I don't mind it, right? It's kind of like if you wanted to short, you could have, or like if you're short, you could have done the same thing, right? Just lower your stop losses as you go along. And this is just the opposite, right? Just like waiting for a buy once it starts breaking out for real. Only problem is that, it's still a crab. So you could get wrecked. But I'm willing to take that chance, right? I've been playing this range a couple of times, made money each time. I'm willing to kind of lose money on a breakout once. So for me, it just makes sense to just give it some time, do something else with your time. I mean, in general, like it's summer, right? Enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And honestly, like I just bought on Saturday before the little fake move up. So like I'm basically right where I bought. So it's just kind of, I'm not quite at an invalidation level. I need to see where today's daily goes and that kind of thing. But there's so many different things that could happen. A lot of people are still short volatility, which I find interesting because I feel like
Short volatility.
Yeah. Like I've heard some significant arguments for like why volatility will continue to compress. And that's actually the one part where I do disagree. Like I think that we're going to get several days of high volatility. I just don't know which direction. But currently I feel like the risk and reward is probably with being spot bullish, but just like to the argument that Luke made earlier, right? You're so close to the bottom of that range in validation. And you just got to find out like, when is it like, when do you sell it? Do you sell it on a candle close? At what time, what range? Luke, can you give us a guide, a layman's guide to how to trade this range? Because entry, exit, capitulation, that's all more important than range low, range high, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like if you're someone that's still sitting 100% long crypto and you're going to sell all your coins and we have a daily close below, I'm not sure it's going to work out so well for you. But like in terms of like actually looking for, I think more than anything, a close below, it doesn't mean I have to sell. It just means, yeah, stop even looking at this range and thinking there's a possibility that we break up. Like just expect further downside and wait for the next kind of pattern or structure to form. Like just since we've crawled into this and there's like no volatility, I don't think there's a reason. I said this like a week ago when I lost my last trade with ETH, tried to reclaim 2K, lose it immediately. I don't think there's a reason to even trade Bitcoin and majors right now. Like I don't see any value. Like even if I sell here, maybe I capture the 10% drop and then we bounce back up after we capitulate. Like, I don't know. I'm more using it as like a guide of, okay, is Bitcoin holding the range? All right, I probably shouldn't even be looking at charts today. If we drop back down below, then I don't know, maybe it's a sign we get volatility more than like a sign I need to trade. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. I don't want to trade Bitcoin and ETH. I don't wake up in the morning lately and I'm like, whew, can't wait to see where we're at. I think I logged out on Friday, and when I checked price on Sunday, we were at the exact same number. I thought my internet was out, like stuck at 31K. Like it just doesn't move.
So what do you want to trade?
I wanted to trade Axie, and now even Axie got brought down by the rest of the market. Still up on that, but
I really thought Axie could make it. Thought it could be the one.
People got upset with me about that one when I was saying that it looked like they had a good run at 25 or 26.
I still think Axie goes a lot higher, but the chart looks horrible right now.
I'm waiting for them to thank me because it's 35% down now from where I said, like, good job, take your profit. They seem to still be upset, though. I don't know why.
Donnie said the same thing. He's like, man, this looks like a great short 25, 26. I was like, I think it could still go higher. And I need to text Donnie today and be like, nope, you were right on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm staying long on it, but I mean, nothing can survive when the whole crypto market's down. I think this will bounce back strong if we all bounce back, but nothing can escape Bitcoin.
I think the trade on this one's actually a little more straightforward, though, don't you?
Yeah.
You recapture mid 17s, and then maybe you can go retest 22. That's a nice trade.
Yeah. I'm way less concerned about the technicals on this. I think if we get down to $9 to $12, I'm just going to keep buying more. I just think it should be worth more, personally. It's like the numbers we've never seen out of a crypto project is what they're doing and are still doing. Like I know it's down, but the growth's still insane. I mean, there's more people using this. It did more fees in the past 7 or 8 days than Ethereum did. So I don't know.
There was an EOS project. Huh? There was an EOS project a while back that did numbers similar to Axie, I think. I'd have to.
But were they real numbers or were they like block one
that's
numbers?
That's the thing. That's the thing with
real people.
But that's the thing with that as well. It's like how much of that is actually real? How much of that is, not?
I mean, I know for a fact that this is bigger than the EOS stuff ever was.
This is bigger than anything that's happened on EOS. I mean,
this is the biggest thing of our lifetime, guys.
The biggest thing that's happened in crypto, probably user-wise.
I mean, it's pretty nutty, honestly. Like I'm not a biggest altcoin fan, but I mean the stuff that they've been kind of doing is pretty nutty. I mean, it doesn't mean with games in general, right? When you're looking at games, they're always, as just with any market, basically they're cyclical, right? They kind of spring up. Everyone is just kind of like, oh, I want to play this because I see people playing it or see people talk about it, and then they start to taper off at some point. So like, I wouldn't generally hold a game for the long term. But I mean, if that's still in the up phase, and I mean, I could see that being the case. If crypto finds a bottom, it's probably going to bounce much stronger than everything else.
There's not a lot of places to trade Axes, which is frustrating. Like I see it's on FTX. That might only be international, Kraken, Binance, but there's no Coinbase. The liquidity on chain is garbage. I just checked it.
Yep.
It's kind of frustrating. Like if I wanted to buy this, I can't. It's not easy for me to do. You know. Where's the volume occurring? Is it all just on Binance International stuff?
I think like 70% probably Binance. Then there's a small amount on FTX. But when I was looking at funding, it's like mostly perps, I think, for FTX. I don't think there's too much spot. So Binance.
Yeah, it's 250 million 24-hour volume on Binance.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to watch. Like, let's see if this has any better downside capture than something like Bitcoin. Right now, it's kind of showing that it doesn't, regardless of how good the numbers may or may not be.
You know, it's crazy, man. People trade dollar pairs only these days. 250 million on the USDT pair, 22 million on the BTC pair on Binance.
So sad to see.
I know. Don's just like, all my hopes and dreams, BTC.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. They're just looking at dollars.
Yeah, the problem is like, I mean, I still don't get why people like try, when you're buying altcoins, like why not benchmark it to Bitcoin, right? Because I mean, altcoins are so much more risky. You might as well, like if you buy them, you might as well outperform Bitcoin, right? And if you don't, it's a shitty buy. So yeah, but I mean, it's what it is, right? It doesn't really mean they're obsolete, the Bitcoin pair charts, I think. But you can more use them kind of for momentum and kind of spotting where like selling slows down and buying picks up, that kind of stuff. And less for like levels, because I mean, I do agree. And this is something that has taken me quite a while, but I do agree that like straight up levels are going to get less and less important the more people kind of switch to the USD pairs. But yeah.
Which in itself gets rid of one of the great use cases of Bitcoin.
That's true.
Wow.
Maximalists might not like that, but I think it's true.
So what is Bitcoin going to be used for, Josh?
Gosh, I don't know. I think it's just going to be, you know,
Zero?
like Bolivian dollars just wrapped up on the streets, just thrown, tossed aside. I don't think it has any use case, man. None, zero. I can't even imagine a world where Bitcoin's successful.
Send it to zero.
Did you guys see the DeFi fund Grayscale launched?
Yeah, it's like 50%
No, I actually didn't.
Uniswap.
50% Uni, 10% Aave, 8% Comp, Curve, Maker, Sushi, Synthetics, Yearn, UMA, and Bancor are included.
What's that? What's that split based off? Is there a rationale there?
I don't know if it's based off of anything specifically. Like it's not market cap. I don't
think
think.
it's liquidity.
Okay.
Like the liquidity on some of those pairs is pretty bad, so I think that's where they did the lower percentages. Uniswap probably has some of the best like market-wide liquidity, but it's still very strange choices overall. Like it's so biased towards Uniswap. It's like just buy Uniswap.
Just buy Uniswap.
Well, they're looking at volumes too, right? Uniswap on any given day is over 50% of the DEX volume, and that is unlikely to change ever, really.
Yeah, and that's part. Liquidity, volume, general activity.
I don't think the token's going to necessarily be super successful, even if volume is what it is. You can point to fees or whatever else you're pointing to, but it just isn't the same. It's not one-to-one with volume.
Yeah.
Anything on DeFi you're watching?
I think the thing I'm most actively interested in is synthetics still. I've been trying to play it sub $9, I guess is where I would say. I think the volume of it interests me more than anything. Like it seems to have like a lot of interest sub $9 every time it's gone there. And the volume itself makes me think that it has upside. It's still like if I'm going to play DeFi, it's looking for that kind of relative reflexivity. If the market doesn't die, then there's an opportunity. It all depends. Like if ETH dies, it doesn't matter. Comp similarly, like I want it to be bullish. It lost some of the stuff that was most important though, like the 200-day, the 20-day. You could say it's kind of at a range midpoint from like its lows, highs to lows. I bet this is probably around that 50% mark. So if ETH doesn't die, like these are the blue chips, you know? So those are what I would want to own. But it's a continuation of the reflexivity trade, so it makes it scary. Aave had like a perfect retest of its resistance that it used as support several times earlier in the year. That's where it topped. Also a 200-day moving average bounce, or, you know, rejection. All of that's kind of scary to me. I don't want it to be. I want to be long as crap DeFi. But I think the safer place to play those is if Ethereum starts to look strong. And right now Ethereum doesn't look very strong.
Agreed. I mean, with the altcoins in general, like, I mean, some of the DeFi stuff at least shows some life. If you look at the like older coins like Litecoin and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
those are dead.
I mean, I can screen share real quick and show like how dead they are, because I mean, this is just, give me a sec. Did I press the right button? Nope. No.
I need to send those into the shadow realm.
I mean, this is just like anyone that thinks this isn't going to go into price discovery to downside, I think is delusional. Like I'd be very, very surprised if it doesn't. Like, look at this daily chart.
And this is then Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks like trash.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, Bitcoin looks like it's going to go up, right? So this is pretty trash. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see the lows of most of those at least get taken. I'd be surprised if it didn't crash through it. But in general, like I might actually buy these again like an idiot, because I mean, I like to buy like these coins that I'm familiar with. But yeah, it looks pretty shitty. Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, like all of them look pretty damn trash to me. And then you go over to like the bear market favorite Link, which looks complete trash as well, even on the USD pair, on the Bitcoin pair, it doesn't really matter. Like wherever you look, all of this stuff is breaking down, right? And a bunch of stuff is actually back in like at levels where it's actually like starting to go into price discovery, kind of undercutting the floors it set right before this recent Bitcoin run, which I mean, just goes to show how altcoins work, right? You have like a bunch of altcoins, like in recent terms, it's DeFi, right? They gain popularity, and what that does is like people start selling their older altcoins, like Litecoin, for example. And then there's just no interest in buying that whatsoever. And that's going to happen to the DeFi coins as well, right? If you think you're safe just because you bought like the newest stuff, there's going to be newer stuff. And that's going to overtake your new stuff. And then you're going to get screwed as well. It's just a question of when. So that's kind of my view on like the altcoin market in general. Like if you're not hopping from one project to the other, I think you're doing something wrong. And right now they all look like garbage.
You know, the cleanest trade, if all this breaks down, is still shorting Doge.
Yeah, agree. I mean, Dogecoin's just going down.
Like,
even if it's not breaking down. Like, even if Bitcoin doesn't break down, I think Dogecoin's going down.
Right. That's what makes it nice. Doge, 17 cents to 7 cents, or 8 cents, just basically filling that entire gap from the huge move up, looks almost like a lock to me. Certainly if crypto markets continue to break down. I don't even know where to short Doge. Best way to short Doge. I guess you can do it on FTX, but I don't know if there's no on-chain liquidity, I don't think, for like the wrap Doge, if you wanted to short it that way.
Best day to short Doge was yesterday. The second best day is today.
Well, it looks like it looks like it's about to lose this level that it used as support a couple times. It's the 200-day moving average. It's this diagonal of death. Like, Doge cannot get above this diagonal. And there's this huge gap down to 7 cents. That's a 55% drop. That'd actually be a nice trade. Somebody in the chat asked, what's the problem with shorting? There's multiple problems. One is you have, what are you, like linear downside, right? You can only make 100% or so unless you're fully margined. Because it can only go to zero. It can't do like multiples. Another is your funding. You can't be spot only short. That's just being in dollars. So therefore you have to pay for the privilege to do it, and that might be expensive. And then also you can get wrecked on it if you do lever up in order to increase your ability to gain. So all that creates challenges when trying to short. So typically keeping shorts open is a challenge in the trade management side of things. Don, Luke, y'all have anybody?
100%. I mean, in general, like if you're shorting, right? Shorting is much more difficult as well. Like up only markets, you're kind of buying and you're holding and you're happy, and that's fine. Shorting, like how shorts work is a lot different, right? You kind of go down and then you bounce aggressively. Sometimes like even go back above like where you actually shorted, and then it goes back down again, and then
makes you question your entry completely.
Yeah, I mean, shorts are much, much more difficult. And then with longs, you just have this kind of market structure until you blow off. And then, I mean, that's probably something you should be trading much more than the short side of things. So in general, I think like if you're shorting more than you're longing, you're probably in the wrong market. Like look for a market that you're kind of bullish on. And I'm saying that as someone that kind of loves to short, but in general, like you don't want to be in markets where you just tend to kind of have the feeling that you need to short all the time, because the upside is shit in comparison. And
ideally, you want to market
much more difficult.
Ideally, you want a market where you can find something to long no matter the market situation. That's just way harder to do in crypto than it is in legacy. In legacy markets, like almost always, there's some sector that will perform well when the market goes down or whatever, or there's like sector rotation or whatever. There's more decorrelation somewhere. In crypto, it tends to be everything goes up or everything goes down, and it makes it very hard to participate. And therefore, the best thing you can do is like go enjoy your summer, like Don I think said earlier, because every trade is a trap. That's what I ran into this weekend, right? Obviously, I should not have bought looking for some kind of 24-hour trade when the weekly trade was telling me to stay out, you know, but it's just too tempting sometimes to go like sneak one in.
I think the other big problem that people have to realize with shorting, and I'm not saying it should be illegal like Elon Musk thinks or anything like that, is that this market, Bitcoin especially, altcoins maybe just spend a lot more time going up than they do going down. So like, yeah, time right now, everything's bearish, everything's dropping. It feels like you should be shorting all the time. But like you have to remember, we just went through like a 12 months straight where, you know, we go up like 80% of the days. So it's just a market that goes up a lot more than it goes down. The drawdowns are vicious, but if you're looking for a short as much as you're looking for longs, it's like in the long run, that's not going to do too well.
DOT has also melted down nicely. Speaking of,
yeah, but
I think it's low.
See, that DOT deserves to be zero.
Oh, I agree. 1 inch is losing its lows today as well.
Is there anything that's up? I'm curious if there is one pocket of the crypto market other than stables.
No, it's just what to say. Stables probably. Leo's been doing really well. Leo.
Yeah, Leo's a scam though, so it doesn't count.
I traded it, I bought it and played the breakout and then sold it. And now it's actually like still at like highs basically.
That's how you know that it's a scam, because it's moving, excuse me, because it's moving up and everything else is moving down.
The real question that I have is who's going to have the guts to buy the double bottom on Internet Computer?
Oh.
What, on the 5-minute chart? Where's the total bottom?
On the daily.
On the daily?
On the daily.
I haven't looked at it.
It is down 95% from the Coinbase Open. It has never spent one moment higher than the moment it opened on Coinbase at $649.
Time to show people that something that is down 95% can go down another 95%.
Did y'all see in my mentions where I said something about Rune being down 82%, and they were like, the good thing is now it can only go down 12% more. I was like, wait, first of all, you subtracted wrong. Second of all, that's not how this works.
Yeah. I mean, crypto, like generally, like people look at the charts, right? And like people that weren't around in 18 and they don't realize like that, like legitimately stuff went down 90% and then went down another 90%, right? So like, while we have a bunch of upside, I mean, if you know, kind of, if you expose your entire net worth to this thing, especially in altcoins, I mean, you're just setting yourself up for failure, I think. So, I mean, don't be too crazy. I mean, take advantage of it when it goes up, but I mean, be prepared for like it nuking as well.
Yeah, really.
It's just how this market works.
Some really painful options out there. Like I'm looking at Thorchain Rune right now. Like if it loses this kind of mid threes, there's not a lot until you get to the low ones. It moved up fast. It moved up a lot. What?
January open.
Yeah. Like retracing the yearly. It's a scary thought, but some of these could do it. You know, the fast movers go down as well. They can go down quickly and painfully.
People keep asking us about Dash, which had a spike on Binance today, and my initial thought was it's probably some API hack or something. I don't know why Dash pumped the way it did today, but
Dash does 15%. This all the time, right? Like, I mean, look at the Dash chart. Dash against Bitcoin or Dash against USD both work. This does it all the time. Like we have like these weird squeezes on Dash. This year alone, we've had like 4 or 5 of them. I mean,
yeah, I don't know what that's about, but
you know what else kind of does that is NEM. I've never traded NEM, but I had it on my
a common thread
for the same reason. What's going on with NEM? Like, why did it do that? It did this 2 or 3 days ago. Exact same thing as Dash. I mean, it ripped like 50% an hour.
These are just scam moves.
Who's trading NEM?
I mean, maybe it's pump and dumps again. I mean, we've had those. It could be just like someone just pump and dumping it. Because the one thing that you're going to notice is that this is only happening on coins that aren't really traded much. And I mean, there's a couple of reasons for it, right? If you hack something and you want to get like that money out, it makes sense to kind of do it on like an illiquid pair, because otherwise you're not going to really take advantage of it too much. And if it's a pump and dump, it makes sense too, because then you can make more money on it. So, but like a bunch of people said like, oh, there's people in the know about Dash. I very much doubt that. Like, I don't think that's like insider trading, whatever. Like I've seen that in Discords floating around. I'm like, dude, it's Dash. I mean, what the fuck?
Dash going to Coinbase. That used to be such a big meme.
Did y'all see the stuff about Sushi and Arca and the raise that they had?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, there was a proposal for Sushi to raise like $50 million at a discount from a whole bunch of different VCs. And then Arca, a prominent sushi advocate fund, I guess, made a counter proposal that was basically like, that's ridiculous. Don't give them a premium. We'll buy it at $7.06 or something. And then Sushi went on to go exactly to that number and then up a little bit. Honestly, though, I don't think it's going to be immune to a market dump if the market dumps. And if it, again, like you look at this relative to that Thorchain 3 something, if Sushi loses the mid 6s, the gap down is severe, to the degree that I think it could go like sub $3. So I'd be very interested, like what is the interest in that Sushi raise if it's 50% of the price that they anticipated? Now, all those VCs actually get it very cheap if it goes down. So if that proposal is accepted, then they would get cheaper coins when it goes down. So they're actually incentivized to dump existing coins to push it down to then get a discount from cheaper prices. And that was partly what the Arca counterpoint was about, is to argue against doing that. And they were saying that based on its current usage and valuation, it's already trading at too severe of a discount. And what I find interesting is, could we have a scenario, if we further break down, where these things that are supposedly already trading at a discount then just become like hyper cheap? Because honestly, in my mind, you get something like sushi at $3, sub $3. That's one of those where you just like hold it for dear life. You know, like you just buy it when it's at that value. And if you believe this stuff has a future, which I believe with DeFi protocols, you just like have to have strong hands from that point. But you have to wait until they're like hyper wrecked to do that. Well, that's 90% off the top for a so-called like, token value accrual type protocol with fees and revenues and use and all that kind of stuff. Kind of a different paradigm, if you will, from the dashes and the Litecoins and all that stuff you said. So I have to look at this as, one, it could go up from here, but two, if it doesn't, then there might be a extraordinarily good buying opportunity in the future. Which one do I want the most? I think I want the like extraordinarily good opportunity, assuming I can like enable myself to capture it, but capturing it is the hard part.
It's funny because a lot of these exchange treasuries, I'm assuming, have their money in their own coin. Sushi, I don't know what their treasury looks like today, but a few weeks ago that was the case. And
I doubt it's changed much. They have to do a lot to sell their own tokens as these protocols.
So if they want bear market protection, quote unquote, what should be doing, or what they should have been doing, is selling, for weeks, just dripping it out.
Link style,
but they're not. So now they're kind of stuck where they're down whatever percentage from the top, if they were looking at that as far as their worth in treasury, USD wise. And now they're going to have to make a bunch of tough questions and tough choices about selling. What do? They just hold forever? I don't know. I don't know what any of these protocols are going to be doing, but it's not a good conversation to be ICO is what I'm trying to say.
Do you remember Substratum at like $80 ETH? I mean, that was like an ICO, and they were like watching ETH drop from like basically 1K all the way to $80. And then they were like, okay, we can't like keep doing this. Need to secure a future, so we hired a trader to kind of short ETH for us. Yeah, and that was the bottom.
I think.
Well, that's what ends up happening though. They don't have a plan, and they just panic because they're down a bajillion % from the top.
That's how.
And then that's the bottom. Yeah.
I think that this is probably one of those scenarios where, in a 3-month sense, if you're long right now, you might feel like an idiot in 3 months. In 3 years, you'll probably feel smart. But the emotional turmoil between those two moments is significant, and it's what sets people apart, because if you capitulate in the 3-month sense after you've, held down, then you're never going to want to re-enter. And so you'll miss the 3-year part. So you have to know yourself emotionally, what you can handle. And if being out is the best way for you to buy a dip, then do it. As long as you also know that if it does bottom when you don't expect, you might have to buy higher as well. And that can be fine as well. But you have to know yourself and how to trade the market.
Yep. I agree.
I think all of us are comfortable with buying higher too, as part of it's one of the ways to survive, to be honest, like if you're out, but you're comfortable buying higher when the trend changes, then you can do that. Simultaneously, if you're willing to be in and be underwater for a while, you can also do that and survive, but you don't. DCAing from the top is painful. We've all been there before. DCAing when you're down 70% already, or like when it's down 70% from the top, well, it could lose, the down 50% meme. It could still go down, but if you know how to average your way in when things are already at relative fundamental discounts, if you believe that, then it could have big payoffs in the long term.
Okay, I would love to buy higher. Are you kidding me? We have to go higher though for us to buy higher. I would love it.
Yeah, I have a hard time buying like much higher personally, like, but I kind of know myself in that regard, you know? So like I try to wait until I can feel like I'm getting a decent entry and buy some of that capitulation. And I may be a little early, but like on the whole, I'm certainly not buying like the highs. I'm way off the highs, but I may not be buying the lows either, you know, and I have to keep attempting it until I feel like I've gotten the entry that I really want.
What do you guys make of the Anthony DeLorio? He's a founder. He says he's leaving crypto for good. Or DeLorio? I don't know how to say his name.
Have a nice life.
So he's an Ethereum founder?
Yep.
He's one of the 8.
Yeah, why has he
Ethereum
not
founders.
left yet? I'm sure he has like $45 billion. Like, go do something else.
Yeah, have a nice life. I don't care.
All right, well, that settles it then. It reminds me of the Mike Hearn situation with BTC and the Hoskinson thing with East a while back. Yeah, but we need these whales to sell. 100%.
Oh,
Is that what you're saying? His selling impact.
I'm sure he's selling. I don't know where we can track that. If we can, there was a founder 2 years ago maybe who sold on Christmas Day. I don't know if you remember that headline.
I think I do remember that actually. There was a big thread on that.
East founder who did that.
But
anyway,
was that 2018? Was that when we like had that extraordinary move down?
yes.
People were very angry when that guy sold it, if I remember right.
Oh, for sure.
I think I got a really good entry on ETH because of him.
Imagine selling on Christmas Day when there's no liquidity.
Jeffrey Wilkie, I think that was him.
Just woke up and chose violence.
So you're saying ETH goes to $500 this week?
I'm saying, look, if this guy's selling, I don't know if we can track the wallets like we tracked Wilkie's wallet. Yeah, he sold 90,000 ETH on Christmas Day, I think. 92,000.
What a Christmas present to his community. Holy shit.
Yeah, so if this DIREO guy is selling right now ETH has taken a pounding over the past couple of weeks, and I don't know if it's him, but it could be, right? I don't know.
Totally.
Anyway, just something to think about.
Why is he leaving?
He said for personal safety, I think.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Well,
like that's the one criticism that like I think is the most genuine, is that like if you're in crypto and you're a public figure, you don't really want to like that's a shit combination, I think.
So one of my friends linked that, and he said, concerned about his safety in quotes. And then he said, bro, you were having McLaren raffles on boats and funding penguin infomercials, whatever that means. I don't know anything about that, but that's what one of my friends said. So apparently he was flaunting his wealth quite severely, not too terribly long ago. So.
Yeah, I mean, but there's a difference, right, between like just flaunting your wealth and people knowing that you're so obscenely rich and it's in crypto. So, I mean, people can get to it, right? Like that's the difference. Like if you have your wealth in crypto and someone really wants to get it, I mean, there's a good chance that they will, right? That's like the terrifying part about like being crypto. If you're rich enough and people know about it, it's just like, that's the one thing that I think makes a lot of these people afraid, and I can totally see why.
That's why we're forever plebs.
Thankfully, that's none of us. I was going to say, my gosh. Have you guys seen the charts?
I'm
hurting over
podcasting
here.
If we were rich.
Yeah, I mean,
I've said it for years, but my cold storage is in Ludart's backyard, so I can't even access it.
I have no cold storage. I've just been LARPing since 2017.
Me too. Yeah. What's a hardware wallet? Keep hearing about these things.
Yeah, I got liquidated forever ago. Just been waiting to make it all back in one trade.
A trading testnet for the last 5 years.
Yeah, just practicing.
So what are we watching this week? Do we have anything other than the testnet charts? Anything that you guys actually want to trade this week?
I want Bitcoin to go back. I want it to mark the weekly low. Legacy fear subsides. Legacy retests the highs. Bitcoin goes to like 38K. And then in about 2 weeks, everything dies as people get back from their summer vacations.
I want to be.
That is brutal.
That's brutal.
Anything a little bit more uplifting.
Yeah.
What do you
Bullish
got?
for like the 2 or 3 weeks. What else you want?
I know. I'm just kidding.
I mean, my plan's kind of simple. Like you kind of reclaim this red resistance zone. I want to be looking for buys, and I think this is more likely, move to like 24, and I'm gonna be buying as well. Like if I've pulled bids because I don't want to be like just sitting there getting wrecked. But I'm probably just gonna be buying down there. So like either or works for me. That's like what I'm looking at. In general, like I don't see a good point in being bullish when like my system tells me this yesterday was a bearish retest, right? And the reaction today kind of confirms that anyway. But yeah, for me, it's just like buying higher or buying lower. Anything else doesn't really make much sense. And the altcoins all look like shit. So definitely don't want to be buying any of that.
I agree. All that's true.
Josh?
I was just watching that diagonal on, or horizontal rather, on BTC and ETH. 2K ETH is the level to watch. And
2K
30,
feels like the moon, bro.
It does. I agree. 30 to 32 is what I watch on BTC. If that breaks, we're in trouble for sure.
30 to 32. We're at 30.7 right now.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Good job.
Yeesh.
Bravo. Yeah, so if that breaks, we're in trouble.
Do y'all think we're 10% one way or the other a week from now?
Probably.
I think so.
I think we're 20% 1 week from now.
Wow.
We're still technically squeezing, even though Bollinger Bands are kind of expanding on the daily.
So Josh, you think it's like 20% is target hit a week from now if you're going down?
Yeah, it's 24.
Yep, 20% is 24. See at 24, I guess.
I think if we break this week, we're halfway there, but maybe. Oof.
My mind is saying we're gonna like move big, and that's what I think, but I know, like, at the same time, I know that this is probably just going to crab and fuck people up again. It's just, I mean, every time I feel like, oh, now is the time that it's going to move, I just think about the crab and I'm like, maybe not. And so far, it's always been right. Like, there's just been a bleed down. So I'm not even sure if it's going to move this week, but I mean, it does feel like it should.
I think
right?
it feels like the week, but I don't know.
It's like, I don't know. I wouldn't lean out the wind. Like, I wouldn't buy and move contracts still. Doesn't seem like something that I would want to be doing, but I have no idea.
We'll leave it there. A lot of uncertainty. Good luck out there. Be safe. Go to weeklyopen.com/blogfolio. You can do whatever you need to do to account for the crab market or the breakup or the breakdown on Blockfolio. Weeklyopen.com/blogfolio. Bye-bye.